the Green Goblin, like you never really know if he's like, there's still a little bit of him there as like, Harry's dad, because there's that scene where they talk back in like their apartment or whatever, he's like, I'm sorry, we've been like a good dad to you type deal, and he said you still don't know if that part of him is like there or if it's completely gone. And there's also the scene, like the mirror scene, is a great scene. One of the most underrated comic book movie scenes. I feel like it's not brought up enough, where he is like having the conversation with himself in the mirror.
Yeah.
Where it's like, is he fully gone, or is there's still part of him? And even going forward into like, decades later into No Way Home or whatever too, he even still has that like good part of him at the end of that movie too, where like, is he still like, so I feel like it's such a good character because you never know if he's truly gone or, truly there or not. But clearly his actions so show that he can't, control that.
So I guess it's almost an ode to Taxi Driver, right? Looking in the mirror there. I mean, he's talking to himself or whatever, but it's almost like an ode to,
Let's think about that.
Like, hey, because that's like the staple of craziness, from Taxi Driver with De Niro. And then we're saying, okay, you're going to talk to himself, and then he's talking back, blah, blah, blah. So then we see the craziness, but then, like he said, he still has a little bit of compassion for his son. So where are we drawing the line? Where is it coming? Is it actually, because the mirror is supposed to say, okay, he's crazy, but is he?
Mm-hmm. It's I think Spider-Man, the difference also between him and the Green Goblin is that the Green Goblin is hearing from the mask. He's hearing from that crazy side of himself. He's looking to it. And I think the mirror is kind of like his last attachment to himself. And Spider-Man, I mean, he has Aunt May, just like Batman has Alfred to keep him grounded. That's, I guess, his speaking to his power. I think that the Goblin Serum is kind of become his conscience. It's driven him insane. Spider-Man doesn't have to be insane. He knows, what he's got to do and all that. He doesn't have to seek counsel, really. Uncle Ben, he left him with the great power and great responsibility, and that he's stuck to that. The Green Goblin is unsure of himself almost because he is part good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's almost like the Green Goblin became who he didn't want to be, and like his accident made him who he didn't want to be ever. But like Spider-Man's made him who always like thought he wanted to be. You know what I mean? So
yes.
There's that dichotomy there.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because if we take parallels, which could be nice from our last episode, and we see the Joker chaos, but then here the Green Goblin, he just wants he started off with a goal, and he was a good person, trying to get, but then he gets cut off funding, and then he becomes something through the experiments. And it seems to be a theme in Spider-Man, like intelligent people just either make a wrong decision or make a decision in the mind of science or so forth, and they become something. Whereas in the Gotham universe or over here, everything just seems to be like an accident, or actually not exactly an accident, but more. It could be an accident, like with, but then they just embrace it immediately. I don't think that the Green Goblin embraces immediate violence. He has something there. Whereas, in Gotham, I think that they just immediately embrace everything. You have Scarecrow, Penguin, who's already a shitty person.
Yeah.
I guess I can get artsy fartsy here and say that there's parallels within the costumes and the tools. Spider-Man webs. He's constantly fighting to bring everyone together. The Green Goblin has bombs. He wants to destroy everything. Spider-Man is actually fighting for something. What is the Green Goblin fighting for other than his own insanity, essentially? And that's where the whole mirror is. He's fighting to keep his sanity, but really, I think he's giving in to the dark side and destruction. Maybe. That's weird,
okay.
But
I got it. Let's do parallels between Green Goblin and Joker then.
Yeah. Okay. I got one. So I feel like
wait, we need to bring in like a small intro.
All right. Okay.
So this segment is on the parallels of villains and heroes in cinema, specifically The Dark Knight and Spider-Man. Let's talk about the Green Goblin and the Joker for a sec. Julian?
Yeah, so I don't know how it's gonna be edited together, but we were talking about, you know, something between the two, how Spider-Man and Green Goblin are kind of inverse images of each other, different ways to go. I guess you can talk about the villains too. The Joker and the Green Goblin, they get compared a lot, and it makes sense. They're both kind of crazy, you know, all that stuff. But I feel like the Tobey Maguire movie, you know, the first one was a good job at showing there is still some good left in the Green Goblin, because he has a son. Like, inherently, like, as a father, no matter how evil you are, you know, you still want your son to do good. I mean, like, you know what I mean? You still have that care in you enough to make a human life. The Joker doesn't have any of that, so that's why he's you know, it's not less tragic, but like, there's no real loss in him going crazy aside from how he affects other people. Like, what's sad about Green Goblin is that he loses like a normal life. You know, some sense of it. Yeah,
He has humanity.
But then we see with both, as you say, you know, I mean, symbolically, like you said, and he drops bombs, you know, I mean, they both still want to see the world burn at some point. They both lose themselves at some point. And the Christopher Nolan's Joker, which we talked about earlier, we don't see his breaking point. We only see the end. But then we see the Green Goblin's breaking point, you know, and then so maybe we have a little bit more compassion there, because we see an actual human lose themselves and then become something. But then it's still, we don't understand who the Joker is. I mean, that's the mystery there. We still don't understand. That's what makes him who he is. That's what makes him crazy. He's got no name, no anything, but he still wants to see the world burn. Maybe the Green Goblin at the beginning, that's what I mean, did not want to see the world burn. But at the end, by the time the middle of the film, end of the film, after like Thanksgiving, after they already know, he's already beyond gone. Plus, he has the cool hoverboard like the Silver Surfers.
I think that's a good point, man. I would like to try to make a connection between Spider-Man and Batman. So Spider-Man's reasons are, and Batman's reasons are personal. We know that Batman wants to strike fear into villains, but Spider-Man just saves the day, I think, merely just because he's a good man. He doesn't really have a purpose other than he's a hero at heart, and naturally a hero. Batman became the hero. And I guess I'm trying to say that it's kind of hard to find similarities.
But if we look at Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, he was bullied, right? So like in like universes, or, you know, this our, you know, upbringing or whatever, we see the bully is the bad person always, and then so the guy who's being bullied stepping up is like a representation of stepping up and being a good person. Like, you know, he was never a bad person, but then he steps up at some point and he becomes the hero, and then